entire space is like a microphone. I'm Khozein. This is Rhonda Taylor. Hello. Here all the way from Las Cruces, New Mexico, where we met 10 years ago. She was my freshman theory professor, music theory professor, and introduced me to contemporary classical music, experimental classical music, and I will forever be grateful to her for that because it's become a sort of one of the central kind of guiding lights of my life. And then, massive bonus, we've become great friends and collaborators.
Yeah, we're not enemies.
Not enemies at all.
Yet.
Yes. Right.
Sorry.
The night is young. So, do you want to talk a little bit about format?
Like what's gonna happen tonight, or like what this is?
Yeah.
How many of you were here at the show last year? Just real quick. So some of you have an idea of kind of what this. Okay, I love it. So both Tara and I, independently of each other, and correct me if I get this wrong, on our own have ventured away from only performing the works of other people and more interested in creating our own music and doing a lot of improvisatory work, again, independently of each other. We kept talking about how we'd like to work with each other sometime and couldn't figure out quite how to coordinate it. I was just having this conversation with Chris where like this feeling, if you've lived in New Mexico for a little while, like we're all not that far apart from each other, but it's like just far enough that you don't really want to get in the car and get on the interstate every time you have a good idea. And so with Tara in Santa Fe and myself in Las Cruces, we came up with this idea for a show last year that we felt really good about how it turned out, and so we're doing this again, where we each came up with half of the program tonight in terms of like a set of directions or a guiding philosophy, and we'll introduce each piece as we go. But the rules are that the pieces have to be set up in a way that do not require any rehearsal, so that we don't have to rehearse. Now, yes, which it's the best. It's the best.
Don't be afraid.
To be, full disclosure, so we just had our show last week in Las Cruces, so that was kind of a rehearsal. But what happens tonight will probably be different, just by the nature of these pieces. Am I leaving anything out?
We each wrote two sort of open scores for each other. They don't really look like what you would imagine music to look like. This is my version of one of the scores. It's basically just a set of directions and notes. So all of the musical content we'll be creating right now with you, with the space, with each other. So yeah, you're about to enter into a New Mexico collaboration. It does not involve the interstate. Yeah.
Shall we
play?
Yeah, maybe I'll introduce this first.
Yeah, great.
Piece. There are not programs, correct? Like physical programs? Okay, just make sure. So I should probably slow down and speak carefully. I'm a fast mumbler, so if something's like unclear, you'd be like, what? Please repeat yourself. This first piece is my piece. It's titled 5-Year Plan. Here's the origin of that. I was doing a tarot read for a friend of mine, and for those of you who do the tarot thing, you know that when you do a tarot spread, you'll usually look at certain parameters before you do the spread, like, oh, this is concerning my love life or my professional life, or it's going to be the whole thing. And then there's usually a time frame, like, oh, this is for 1 week from now, or the next month, or the next year. And I was doing the spread for a friend, and I'm like, so what time span do you want this to be for? And she said 5 years. And I'm like, you're insane. I thought that was amazing, because I don't know very many people who are thinking about 5 years from now in a regular kind of way in their lives. And so I definitely do. And then, and then the same friend, she's like, you don't have a 5-year plan? No, I don't. That's great, though. That's great that she either does or is thinking that most sane people do. And so this piece is about terrible questions, both real and imagined and are honest answers to them. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, and...
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Right.
Okay.
Top of the program,
This is an
straight
interview
to
question.
the most vulnerable.
And the right
possible
answer speaks to
question.
ambition,
So let's start with
motivation,
who. My mind immediately
goals,
goes to
focus,
love.
etc. In my 20s and 30s, I was terrified
This
of
is
this question.
also the least.
If I didn't have an answer to this question, it meant that I was doomed for
plannable
life.
part of
Right?
the life.
If I didn't have a plan, then how was I going to
predictable
succeed
part
at
of
it?
life. And the thing
Now that I'm in my
that
40s,
many
I know
of
it's
us
a
want
silly
most
question.
to secure.
All this answer demonstrates is my ability to answer this job interview question.
Place.
I have sat
So
in
the
on job
where.
interviews where terrible
so
people
it
have
would
answered
be
this question
somewhere
perfectly.
bigger
Terrible
or
people.
somewhere well, actually, I guess it
Here's the
doesn't
real reason
really
I
matter
like this
because
question.
the important part of this
It
question
implies that I'm supposed to be
is the
unhappy
what.
with where I am in my life currently.
The what are we doing?
And that I have to somehow have a goal for the future.
And so it makes me realize, I guess,
That I should be constantly in a state of self-improvement.
the what is basically just
Real
what
self-improvement is great, by the way, but it's usually non-linear and ugly and private.
I'm doing right now. So actually the thing that I
This American
wanna be
culture
doing
thing,
is
where I'm
in
supposed to
5
always have a goal, and then always be working towards the goal, and then I've got to post about it on social media, and then everyone in the world has to validate my little tiny steps towards my dumb little goal.
the thing that I've
Who is
been
that
doing
for?
in life. Is actually just the exact same thing that I'm doing right now, but
Besides, where do you draw the line? How do you know where to stop with your goals? Do you know anybody with one tattoo? I'm just saying.
is it fun to be a singer? And if fun, I guess if fun is pleasure, then sometimes it's getting to do this means getting to figure out the sort of grittiest, strangest things that live inside of my throat, and then exercising them in a way that they can come out in some kind of sense that's not just cathartic for me, but maybe for other people too. But being a singer, this is ancient, weird stuff. Sing something right now?
Oh, like Kenny G!
Yeah, I could sing so like a little, sure, cool, like a ditty. Cool. I guess I like it when singing has a purpose, like a lullaby or a drinking song or an anthem, but most of what I do doesn't have any of those things. So, what are you? Oh, well, I was born well, my dad is from well, he's not a terrorist. I mean, you can. It's not camels. It's carpets. Tea. Cats.
like Kenny G. Are your feet supposed to look like that? Well, if you're asking me if these are my natural feet, and whether or not I've avoided any sort of surgery to modify how my feet look, then yes, I guess my feet are supposed to look like this. If you're familiar with Roald Dahl's The Witches, fabulous book by the way, there's a nice description of witch feet, kind of similar to my feet. So I don't know if my feet are what human feet are supposed to look like, but on the bright side, they are what natural witch feet are supposed to look like. So, I am a witch. I'm okay with being a witch.
What do you do to your skin? Do you have a regime? Do you believe in anything? Oh, if it's something then that you love, then why are you walking away? Is there anything I can do? Oh. Were you close?
What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses?
How close are you?
Can you tell the difference between your strengths and your weaknesses?
How close were you?
Can you turn your weaknesses into strengths?
Are you coming?
How about your strengths? Can you turn those back into weaknesses?
Did you come?
What about my strengths and weaknesses? What are they? Can you tell?
What do you wish you had done?
What about some light plumbing? Do you have plumbing experience?
Oh, what's wrong with your
What
eye?
about electrical work? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Is your eye twitching?
Can you tell whether a plum is ripe or not?
Are you
If I ask you about this plum is too ripe from the musical The Fantastics, is that too inside musical theater for you?
Are you nervous?
Or not enough? Do you want to perform a two-woman version of Cats with me?
Are you blushing?
Shall we call it Pussies?
Is there something inside of your eye? that
Do you hate the word pussy?
Do you want me to lick your eye?
What about cunt?
Do you...
Should we call our musical Cunts?
Are you wearing contacts?
How about we call it Cunts the Meowsicle so people know it's still about cats?
Are you embarrassed?
Are you excited to dress up like a cat and call yourself a cunt and sing the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber with me? What?
Do you need to sit down?
What's that?
Do you need to sit down?
Are you allergic to cats?
Oh, could I clean that up for you?
Are you allergic to musicals?
Is that water or something else?
Have you tried going gluten-free?
Do you need to borrow my concealer? Or...
Have you tried teeth whitening?
Have you ever dyed your hair before?
How about flossing, maybe?
I think there's something wrong with it. Is there, could I lick your eyeball?
Have you just tried smiling more? Have you tried eating less?
Oh.
Have you tried meditating? Have you tried reading this book that is totally not about you, but totally about me? Have you tried meditating? Have you tried yoga? Have you tried golfing? Have you tried golfing?
Some more milk.
Have you tried dressing up like Rolf from the Muppets just to see if it unlocks something inside of you spiritually?
Would you like it to sit in a circle? Would you like everyone to sit in a circle?
Do you need to sit down?
Have
More
When we did this program in Las Cruces, it was for a lot of Rhonda's students and also some Music 101 students. And so I like to think that this is like a very strange introduction to Music 101.
Yeah, I can't wait to read their little like reports. Friends with the professor that teaches that course. I'm sure I'll have some on my door waiting for me.
The way that Rhonda navigated that one was if you can make it through the first piece, then it's going to be smooth sailing for the rest of the program.
That was definitely like the dangerous. Oh, and once again, I'm so sorry because I meant to be like, hey, if profanity bothers you, there's going to be a little bit of it. As far as I know, there's no more profanity. I mean, the night's young. If you want to add some profanity, we won't stop.
This next one, this is one of mine. We're calling it Hesitation Sounds. And I started working on it right after the Kavanaugh hearings and was just feeling like I had never been affected ever by a political event as much as that affected me. And I was thinking a lot about how to sort of respond to that in a way that felt really good and also not to sort of like precipitate the sort of sadness that I was feeling after that, but to sort of like examine it in a kind of more abstract way. So,
Again, title.
It's called Hesitation Sounds. So this is a pretty sort of open piece. It's another just sort of like list of instructions. But I think it might help if you're to listen to this piece in the sort of context of something that has affected you that you haven't been sure about how to respond to. What we work with at the very beginning of the piece is the feeling of trying to sort of like cut into someone who's sort of continuing to speak.
No matter
what.
Social cues.
Yeah. I almost feel like I shouldn't have told you that because it's fine. Also, it's fine to have any sort of reaction to this. You don't have to feel sad.
Sorry. That hit him. You don't have to feel sad. It's your default feeling for all 2018. There's a new year coming. Sorry, that was out loud. I shouldn't have out loud.
Okay. I like standing at concerts. I am always like the figure that's like leaning against the wall. I'm too anxious for something. Animals. This is another one of mine. It's called Animals. Was that a sound that you made or a sound that
I just got excited when I said the word animals back to you and stuff in my mouth. I'm sorry. I got excited.
So I'm very interested in music that is inherently theatrical and theater that is inherently musical. And I like cats as well.
They're great.
Yeah.
I hear they're making a comeback.
This is, so one of the rules with this piece is that, hi, I didn't say hello to you. So happy you're here. One of the rules with this piece is that we choose our animals separately based on the thing that comes up in Google when you type in animal sounds. Has anyone ever done that? You have? Oh, well then the rest of you are in for a treat. That's how you say that.
You're trapped inside of it. We're sorry. This is all a big ruse to start some science. I'm sorry. You type in animal sounds, and then the thing that comes up is basically just like it's like a children's grid of animals, and you can like click on the different cars, and there's like little cartoon images of different animals, and then it plays like a 2 to 5 second sort of sample of that animal. It's as if the internet has never existed. And this was Google taking its best guess. Like it's really low rent. It's really great. Like it's very, like the kitty cat might as well be a person just saying like the words meow. Like it's very, yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. It's super fun.
Also a very funny selection of animals.
Yes.
And so, like T-Rex is one of them, and there's like hedgehog, etc. So one of the rules of this is that we don't tell each other which animals we've chosen until we perform it. And so actually we each do 3 animals, and then they have different sort of like interactions in the way that you would like write a scene.
And Tara is so serious that one of her rules was that we had to have different animals last week so that we were fresh this week. Heaven forbid I remember what you did. Yeah, and so this is, just so you know, you're still getting like the freshest show possible.
100% new animals. Okay. Should we tell each other?
Yeah.
I guess we did that last time. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
I would love to tell everyone what animals I'm going to be interpreting tonight. Mm-hmm. Disclaimer for me too, I'm pretending as though whatever Google sounds brought up, that's the only representation of that animal sound that exists. So I didn't go to YouTube and like study. I didn't go deep. I didn't Robert De Niro these animals. My 3 animals tonight are Komodo dragon, guinea pig, elephant. I picked these out like weeks ago too. This has nothing to do with last week. Yeah. I know, great minds.
Great minds. My 3 animals are swan, hedgehog.
They make noise.
They do tonight.
And zebra.
Zebra. Oh, that's that Beck song at the end of Midnight Vultures. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Zebra.
It's not. It's Deborah. It's Deborah. Thank you for laughing at my lame joke.
This one is like 5 minutes long.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. My elephant might have.
Yeah, maybe you should
stuff
tell
to
you
say.
the sort of climax, the ending finale of this is that our 2 animals get into a disagreement, and the directions in the score is that we can choose whatever animal we've brought into being to win the fight that ensues. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. It's just so silly that nobody knows how to. Okay. Okay.
It's your piece.
I know.
It's alright. Is that alright with you? Are you
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We're all about precision. Tara is that it wouldn't have occurred to me to do that on my own in a million years. It's good to have a friend that peer pressures you into exploring other sides.
To unleash the Komodo dragon within.
Oh man. You guys, any of you haven't, do go on Google and check it out because it's so not quality. It's so good. Like, it's so funny. The last one is one of mine and doesn't require a saxophone, so I'm de-saxophoning. And it does include some audience participation, but it's before you run out of the door, it's very low stakes and you don't have to participate. I brought stuff. Yeah, all right. Who amongst you can handle responsibility? Think amongst yourselves. Determine your leaders. Definitely. Oh wait, you should get, the bear has green and blue in it.
Oh, she really loves penguins, though.
Oh, do you? Would you prefer the, so if you press the button, see which one you like better. You want the penguin? Totally get the penguin. All right, over here, does somebody want it?
There is a volunteer. And would it be possible to turn off the lights?
In a moment?
Sorry, I didn't check with you guys before. If it could be as dark as possible. I think the Christmas lights should definitely stay on.
Yeah.
And then,
I'll explain.
Thank you so much. And then we're going to do like a quick explanation, and then they can all go completely dark. Okay.
Good? Are we good? Okay. All right, so this piece is my piece. This is called Winter Music. And just really quickly, this is absolutely just a very personal, story and personal origin. I am in no way prescribing any particular religion or faith or lack thereof for you guys. I'm a live and let die kind of gal. But for myself, I was raised in the Methodist Church. I've since become like a full-on atheist, which happens to a lot of Methodists. It's the natural progression. So I have this thing where even though I'm not religious anymore, this time of year, I have wonderful memories from growing up that even though I'm not, a Christian anymore, I have, these wonderful memories that aren't necessarily tied to a particular faith necessarily, but just a set of experiences. One of my favorite things from my childhood was at Christmas Eve, there'd be the Christmas Eve Mass or the Christmas Eve service. And again, here comes the atheist part. It's like, of course it was my favorite because there was no sermon. Everybody would show up at midnight and you'd have little votive candles and you would just sing hymns. And there is something special, it's not just my perception or my memory. I'm not sure what that is, but a fun machine, doing fun things, joining in already with white noise. But this time of year, we do know from a scientific standpoint that when snow falls, or we have an ice storm, that the way that sound moves through air is actually different, and I think really special. And so, for our last piece tonight, what I'd like to do is, we'll start out with Tara. Tara will get her spinner going. And the idea is just to sing or to hum single tones. And if you don't want to, if you just want to listen, that's great. That's absolutely great. If you're super shy, you just want to hum, that's cool too. And it's just, this is not anyone's chance to audition for The Voice. Save it for another day. But we'll start out with just single tones. Tara will start her spinner. And when it's just Tara with one spinner, it's just Tara singing alone. I'll start my spinner, and it'll just be the two of us. And then we'll add our third and fourths. When we add these, that's where those of you in the audience can start running yours. And then just as you like, please feel free to sing single tones or hum single tones with us. Enjoy the silence, enjoy the sound of these guys. I know I do. I'm pretty easy to please. At some point, Tara and I will extinguish our third and fourth spinners at that time, they'll do the audience if you can also, and wrap up any singing you're doing. Then we'll do a little duo at the end, and then we'll be out. Makes sense? Pretty simple. If you're not sure, just listen and or hum or sing. It's fine. All right.
Thanks so much. And actually, I think it might be better without the Christmas tree lights if they're very easy to turn on. That's okay. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thanks so much for having us back.
I just want to say thank you to you too. This is our last event of 2018, and it was fantastic. So thank you.
Yay. If you have questions, please come and ask us. We'll be hanging out. I think might be still cider in the corner.
And if you have not donated yet, all the donations is $500 donation in support of the artist. So drop some cash on everybody out. And we also have our 2019 catalog available now, so we'll be passing those out on the way out as well. So.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jordan. Thanks for the concept.